Hello, my name is Geneva Smith, mother of two boys, Marquay Smith and Royale Spencer. I am Royale's mother, who was lost January 21st, 2019, due to gun violence. Royale went to spend the night over to a friend's house, and the next morning I got a call stating that he had passed away. Royale was a 9-year-old boy. He liked his skateboard. He skateboarded at the BMX park a lot. He also was a gamer. Fortnite was his favorite game. He liked to watch his big brother play football. He was his brother's biggest fan. He was the jokester of the family, silly, goofy. He was a baby of the family, so he got away with a lot at our home, at our house. He was still a baby where, he still slept in the bed with me from time to time. He still liked to go over his grandma's and act like a baby.
My brother, he was actually very straightforward. He never sugarcoated anything. Like, he'd tell you how it is regardless. He was very honest with you. He really didn't. I mean, he did. He was very, very, very caring. But then again, he'll always tell you truth. He was also loving his life. He always roasted me.
I dropped Royale off Sunday afternoon over to his friend's house, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because we had went shopping that day for winter clothes. It was they were out of school Monday, so he asked could he go spend the night over his friend's house. We went to lunch. He got a new haircut. I dropped him off when originally he was only supposed to stay a couple of hours. When he asked to stay the night, I was a little hesitant. I don't know why. He spent the night over there before. Had never been any issues. I let him stay.
We really enjoyed going over to our friend's house because there was a lot of gaming competition. Even though we played outside and everything, it was always like on Fortnite. We had a lot of competitions. We'd do free-for-alls and all types of things in creative maps with my brother and his friends. It was very, very fun.
I had been knowing this family. We have been knowing this family for almost 2 years. We were old neighbors. My boys, both of my boys, had been to games, hockey games, baseball games. This family, I trusted the mother with my children. She was a single mother just like me, going through a divorce.
Well, that day, it was actually very, very positive. It was very fun. We did a lot of things. We played hide and seek like all day, actually, that day. We did a lot. We played football. This is very crazy. I taught him some new basketball moves that day and everything. It was all just like the best day of my life. I mean, I couldn't really express enough.
I didn't see Royale until the mortuary received his body. We never got to go to the morgue. I didn't identify his body. My son, my 15-year-old child, identified his 9-year-old brother's body.
Okay, I did, but I didn't go up to him to get like how he really looked. I didn't get in full detail because everything was just like unrealistic to me. I really thought I was dreaming.
The initial phone call that I got was from my son, my oldest son, stating that Royale, one of the other little boys said that Royale had shot himself. I asked my son which hospital was he going to, and Marquay, my son, stated that he thinks Royale was dead. My mind couldn't grasp what he exactly was saying. Um, Initially, I started yelling at my son to stop playing with me. At that time, my officer took the phone from Marquay, asked for my location so they could send an officer to pick me up. I asked her, what hospital are you guys taking my son to? It didn't matter where I was. I would meet them at the hospital. And she stated that they will not be transporting. I couldn't understand it, It seemed like everything was just moving too fast, or my mind just wasn't grasping exactly what she was saying. So I asked the officer, my exact words were, "Tell me this, is my son breathing?" And she said, "No, ma'am." I hung up the phone. I called my grandmother because it's like my mama bear. And I was telling her what I was told seconds before. And as I'm telling her, the police knock at her front door to verify that my son was deceased. After the funeral was over, my grandmother and Royale's grandmother on his dad's side gave me a notebook full of information regarding my son's case. I was pretty much shut out until after the funeral was over about my son's case, for the simple fact of how sensitive the situation was. So I went through as I was going through the notebook and I was looking at all the information, there's just a bunch of notes about evidence that has been collected since my son passed. It didn't sit right with me. I needed answers as far as what really happened to my son in that house that day. I was looking for some type of closure, some type of accountability. Here we have my 9-year-old child is gone, and nobody's not even charged with a simple child endangerment. When I reached out to the head detective on the case, he was kind of vague at first. It was like he censored the information from me. I don't know if it was because he didn't know if I was strong enough for the information, or if simply they just wasn't willing to give up all the information. The more we looked into my son's case, the more bizarre it became. The evidence that they had didn't match what was told to us. My son was shot with a .410 shotgun. The original story was that he shot himself, and the ultimate story that they went with was that my son and this little boy was playing BB gun wars, and they said 1, 2, 3, shoot. Royale shots his BB gun, and the little boy shot what he thought was a BB gun.
Wouldn't think anything like this will happen. It didn't. When you're in those type of situations, it's like nothing seems real. It's like a nightmare, but you're just there. You can't really wake up. And I don't know. It was very, very, very tragic.
That's the last story they went with, the BB gun wars. We got the core reports, and that is everything from everyone's testimony from that day, and the little boy that admitted to pulling the trigger told 3 different stories. So how are we going with this last story? There was no proper investigation, to me, done on my son's case. The part of the story that sticks out most to me is that the story is that Royale and this little boy was playing with guns. There were no guns in my house. My son was terrified of guns. For me to believe that my son was playing with a gun is very hard to believe, just because I know the fear that he had behind him. When I contacted the mother to, try to get answers from her, she told me she couldn't give me the answers I was searching for and hung up the phone. This is someone I trusted with my children. And that's the only answer that I've ever gotten from her. They didn't even, if this was an accident, like they say they did, there was no sense of remorse to me whatsoever. I started back in February of 2019 fighting for justice for my son. It started at a city council meeting here in town, where I was asking for accountability to be held on this family. Our DA here in town decided not to charge anyone in my son's case because he couldn't find a malicious intent. There is no safe storage laws in the state of Kansas, and because there is no safe storage laws in the state of Kansas, there was no one even charged with the firing of the firearm. I have a lot of emotions regarding how my son was lost. To lose your child at such a young age is one thing, of natural causes, cancer, a car wreck, but to lose him to a gun violence, he was 9 years old. This should have never happened. Because of a negligence, this could have been prevented. Guns are fatal. Why were they accessible to children? Not only my child, but every child that was in that home. It's a mother is supposed to protect her child, and if I sent my child to your home, you were supposed to protect my child as if it was yours. She didn't protect my child. She failed my son as well as her child. Royale was 9 years old. To lose a child that young, you try to find something good out of it. It's been a struggle. I don't want another mother. I would never want another mother to feel the pain of losing a child, and then there's no closure. Which is, guns are fatal. I can't express that enough. There has to be, something. Kansas is the most lenient state on gun laws there is. This could have been anybody's child, not just mine. So let's protect all children, And so the bill that I talked to Olitha Fascadell about was a safe storage bill. What would be called the Royale's Law. It's a bill stating that firearms that are in a home, they need to be locked securely in a gun safe. And if a situation like this happens again, there's some accountability on the gun owner or the parents in the home. You get some type of closure. You lose your child, a loved one, to such a tragic thing, a tragic way. You want closure, and I don't know if I even actually have grieved, because I have no closure. I'm still fighting for justice for him.
Honestly, life hasn't been the same since he's haven't been here with us physically. I've always tried to put it in my head that he's here and he's watching over us, from the heavens above and everything. But it just hasn't really been the same, honestly. Like, when something like that happens in life, it's very confusing. It throws your whole, like, perception of life off, really. I'm so proud, because, like, she's really transmuted. Like, we came from a really dark place after all of this stuff happened. Like, we was really in a sad place, and to see her put in action and, like, the bill and everything, trying to have safe laws for firearms and everything, I'm glad that she's doing positive moves with this.
Most thing I miss about Royale is him. I mean, when he was here, our house was loud. Now it's quiet. We have a dog that barely runs around the house now. Everything is different. I mean, from his laugh to the jokes to him and my oldest son joking around about each other's hairline. I mean, everything is different. You're trying to find a new normal, and then once you think you found it, it's like a wave comes through and everything falls apart all over again. It's quiet in my house. That's like the biggest issue for me, because quietness now is loud, and when it's so quiet, all you hear your thoughts is unbearable pain. Do I cry? Yes. Have I grieved? No.